Now in prime time, from the Bay Area's local news station, you're watching KRON4 News at 8.
Now at 8, a wild weekend all around the Bay Area, from fires to shootings and massive crowds. It was no easy holiday for first responders. Thank you for joining us tonight on KRON4 News at 8. I'm Pam Moore.
And I'm Ken Wayne. A relaxing holiday for some, but a busy night for first responders, firefighters, and police officers heading to dozens of events all over the Bay Area.
KRON4's Grant Lotus joins us now here in the studio. He's got details on what happened. What a busy day and night.
Chaos, violence, not good. And we'll start tonight in San Francisco, where police had their hands filled. You see 3 separate incidents, shootings, and rowdy crowds in the city. The first shooting happened on Market and Powell Streets, where a street performer was shot. She suffered non-life-threatening injuries. The vehicle involved here took off after the shooting. Police say they're still looking for the shooter there. The second shooting happened in the Bayview this weekend near Ingle Street and Underwood Avenue. A 14-year-old girl was shot there while watching fireworks. She's expected to be physically okay. The third shooting was in the south of Market neighborhood near 3rd and Brannan. Police say an employee at a store on Rick Street confronted somebody who was entering the business. This person shot the employee and then ran away. Meanwhile, people in the Mission, you're talking about 12 San Francisco police officers responded to that scene. They were trying to break up a rowdy crowd. Police say people in that crowd then started throwing glass bottles and fireworks at officers. This is at 24th and Harrison, and there's a fire that you saw there burning in the middle of the intersection. Police did eventually get things more under control, but no arrests were made there. Now the East Bay, where Oakland police say 4 people in the Coliseum were hurt by celebratory gunfire following last night's A's game and then fireworks show. Police say 3 fans were hit by bullet fragments from what they say appears to be people shooting into the air outside the Coliseum. Celebratory gunfire. They also say a 4th victim later checked themselves into a hospital. None of the injuries was life-threatening. In a statement, the A's say their security team will work with OPD to try to ensure fans can attend future games and fireworks shows safely. Oakland police are also investigating 3 homicides across the city over the holiday weekend. Chief LaRon Armstrong said a 3-year-old boy is in critical condition after being shot in the torso.
Due to the injuries, our officers elected to immediately transport the child to the hospital in their patrol vehicles for treatment. Medical staff advised us that had the officers not elected to transport this child in their vehicles, this child would not have survived his injuries. The child is currently listed in critical but stable condition. We're investigating the possible involvement of a relative in this particular shooting.
All of these incidents are still being investigated tonight, and anybody with information is asked to call police. Pam and Ken, back to you.
Gun violence was an issue not just here in the Bay Area, it was across the country this weekend. You can see here crowds running away in Philadelphia after a highway patrol officer and a sheriff's deputy both were shot during a 4th of July concert. The officer was grazed by a bullet on his forehead. The deputy was shot in the shoulder. Both men were providing security for that concert. They've both since been released from the hospital. In addition to this incident, mass shootings took place in 9 other states on the 4th of July. According to the nonprofit Gun Violence Archive, 65 people were injured by gunfire. 9 people were killed, including a man in California. It happened around 2 o'clock this morning on the 4th, just a few blocks from the state capitol in Sacramento. A person was killed, 4 others injured. Police are still searching for the person responsible and a possible motive.
The deadliest shooting in the nation on July 4th happened in Highland Park, Illinois. That's where 7 people were killed and dozens of others were hurt. The suspected gunman in that mass shooting has been arrested and is facing 7 counts of first-degree murder. Reporter Brian Inton has the very latest from Chicago.
The gunman now officially charged, but there are still so many questions. Were red flags missed? Could this have been prevented? Tonight, much of the downtown area behind me is still an active crime scene.
New to
Today, investigators say the attack on the Highland Park, Illinois July 4th parade was pre-planned and that 21-year-old Robert Bobby Crimo was in disguise when he shot into the crowd more than 70 times with a gun he purchased legally. This photo shows the 21-year-old in a wig dressed as a woman.
During the attack, Crimo was dressed in woman's clothing, and investigators do believe he did this to conceal his facial tattoos and his identity and help him during the escape with the other people who were fleeing the chaos.
Ma'am, did you suspect Bobby was capable of this? A woman leaving Crimo's parents' house would not answer questions. Can I get a picture of it from your balcony? Would you mind? But a neighbor let me up on his balcony and pointed to a strange painting on the back of the house. It's a character with a smiley face holding a rifle. Crimo had a music page online where he went by the name Awake the Rapper. His posts are filled with dark content, glorifying mass shootings. One video references a deadly standoff with police. Sir, we've seen disturbing videos online. Were warning signs missed?
We are reviewing those. Those are going to be a part of any investigation efforts by our task force investigators, Highland Park Police. We'll look at them and we'll see what they reveal.
Hands up! Hands up! All the way up! Lay down flat on your stomach.
This video shows the moment Crimo was taken into custody on Monday after a nearly 9-hour manhunt. You can see Crimo handcuffed and on the ground. Police say he had a second rifle in the car with him.
It was shocking to hear on the news them reveal the name and me know exactly who that was.
Ethan Absler went to high school with the alleged shooter. Were you ever suspicious that he could be dangerous?
No, there were red flags, but I didn't think, again, that they were violent red flags. I thought he was troubled. I thought he had, behavioral issues at school.
Law enforcement said the shooter was familiar to police, but they didn't have any indication he was violent. Even the mayor knew him. She was his pack leader when he was a young Cub Scout. I didn't realize, Mayor, that you knew the shooter. I mean, right. Did you have any feeling that he was disturbed this way?
Not at all. He was a little boy. He was a Cub Scout. He's very quiet, very sweet.
Okay, so you hadn't seen him?
I hadn't seen him in years.
Okay. Also today, we learned from police that the gunman purchased 5 firearms over the last year, 2 rifles, possibly a shotgun, and several pistols. I'm Brian Enns.
So, following yet another round of mass shootings, politicians, some of them, are echoing their continued call for stricter gun control laws. The White House is reiterating its desire for Congress to ban assault weapons. This comes just days after the president signed a historic bipartisan gun control bill. Despite the forward movement on the issue, though, many advocates are still pushing for more, including Democratic Congressman Brad Schneider, who represents Highland Park, Illinois, and who was at that July 4th parade.
My team was just at the very beginning of the parade route. The moment was shattered and lives destroyed. I support a ban on assault weapons. These are weapons of war.
Also today, Vice President Kamala Harris voiced her support for a ban on assault rifles. She went to that town to talk with some of the survivors and first responders. Meantime, the White House is ordering flags be flown at half-staff to honor the victims of yesterday's deadly 4th of July shooting in Illinois.
Other news here at home, an explosion on the 4th of July, and it wasn't caused by fireworks. A South Bay family is out a vehicle, but they still have their home, their lives, and a hero for a pet. KRON4's Justin Campbell explains what happened.
Firefighters rushing to put out a fire.
My husband thought he heard a firework, like fizz out. You know when they're dead, when they don't work, and then boom.
That loud noise Margaret Bowles and her husband heard wasn't fireworks. Instead, their truck exploded in the driveway, even burning the house early Friday morning.
I was in shock. I don't even know how I got out of the house.
Bowles says her dog Spencer kept barking and alerted them. Her smoke alarms didn't go off, but she and her husband managed to get out of the house safely, not with much. Firefighters bringing her what they could.
He also happened to find my bathrobe hanging on the back of the bathroom door and brought it to me, so I could be warm.
But what went wrong? Bowles says earlier in the day she smelled something coming from the truck.
It was 4th of July, so I'm like, it's nothing, I'm sure. It was just, it was gone just like that.
It wasn't gone. The used truck her husband bought 2 months ago exploded hours later, which she thinks was an electrical problem.
I want to find out why that truck blew up.
That may take some time to find out, but Bowles and her husband are happy they had enough time to get out safely. Reporting in San Jose, Justin Campbell, KRON4 News.
Margaret and her husband say they replaced the batteries in their smoke detectors recently, but apparently that still didn't work enough to alert them to the fire. They say they're thankful for their dog, and they might not be here today if it wasn't for him.
Let's check on our 4-zone weather forecast. A live look outside tonight along, is that the Embarcadero? No.
Buckyball, right
Oh,
there.
yeah, there's Buckyball. I couldn't see.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle, and you see some clouds in the background. That's San Francisco's Embarcadero.
Yeah, good to see that fog out there. Very
It's
wet out there. And
definitely.
yeah, really kept the fire danger. Even though we did have some fires, it kept the fire danger down a bit around the Bay Area. We're going to see more of that fog tonight. Again, this is going to be one of those nights where it could be very wet, especially out along the coastline. We're going to see a very thick layer of low clouds and fog coming in, and looks very similar to last night. And here we go. A little muggy around the Bay Area, and looks like it's going to stay that way again tonight. The temperature's holding up a little bit. The dew points in the upper 50s, so you're looking at 63 right now in Pacifica, still 70 in Concord, 66 in Oakland, and 63 degrees in Tiburon. That onshore breeze, low clouds and fog kind of hugging the coastline today a bit, then breaking up late in the day, and then now we've got a surge of low clouds that are just beginning to push on shore. And we've still got that area of low pressure. You see it spinning off the coastline right here. That is going to factor into our weather. It's going to have to ramp up that marine layer overnight tonight and tomorrow. So a strong push of clouds out there. If you're headed outside this evening, yeah, it doesn't feel as cold as it normally would. You've got that higher humidity in the atmosphere. Still, you're in the 60s across the board around the Bay Area, and those clouds will continue to increase as we head to 11 o'clock tonight. Temperatures for tomorrow, let's plan on a little bit warmer inland. I think maybe sneaking up into the low 80s in places like Concord, maybe in Antioch and Livermore. 79 degrees in Morgan Hill. On the coastline, we've got temperatures in the 50s and the 60s, and a mixed bag of some 60s and 70s inside the Bay. Next couple of days, these temperatures are going to start to warm up a few degrees, and then on Sunday, I think it's going to get hot, especially inland, and then I think we start to flirt with some triple-digit heat by next Monday.
All right, Lawrence, coming up on KRON4 at 8, a home in Pittsburgh engulfed in flames. What officials say caused this fire?
It's still 4 months away, but we now know the 7 propositions California voters will see on the November ballot, what voters will be asked to consider.
And the city of San Leandro looks to address a shortage of police officers. The proposal being considered at tonight's city council meeting.
Man is in custody tonight after a deadly stabbing last night in East Palo Alto. Police say 19-year-old Wilmer Amador stabbed 33-year-old Abner Naharaxel around 11:30 last night on East O'Keefe Street. The victim was taken from the scene but died on the way to the hospital. Police say with the help of witnesses, they're able to take the suspect into custody around 5:30 this morning. This is East Palo Alto's 3rd homicide this year.
Right now, the San Leandro City Council will consider a proposal to pay its police officers an additional $20,000 just to retain them. City leaders say the department is more than 40% vacant, and that means that there is an active deployable staff of less than 60%. All officers, dispatchers, and command staff would be eligible for the pay incentive, which would be made in 3 payments over the next 2 fiscal years. Officials say the money would come from the salaries not being paid to those vacant positions. Well, from abortion rights to sports betting, California voters will weigh in on a number of proposed changes to state law this coming November.
Ballot initiatives are officially set for the upcoming year. Our state capitol reporter Ashley Zavala breaks them down.
California voters will weigh in on 7 ballot initiatives this year. The propositions qualified either because of action the state legislature took or the citizens' ballot initiative process. The first you'll see on this year's ballot is Proposition 1 relating to abortion. It asks voters to amend the state constitution to guarantee the right to choose abortion and contraception. The next 2 propositions are expected to be this year's big ballot box fight on sports betting. Proposition 26 allows federally recognized Native American tribes to operate sports wagering, plus roulette and dice games on tribal lands. While Proposition 27 would legalize online and mobile sports wagering, allowing Californians to use sites like FanDuel and DraftKings. Supporters of Prop 26 oppose this measure. Proposition 28 would provide additional funding for arts and music education in all K-12 public schools, including charter schools. For the third time, voters will be asked to weigh in on another attempt to regulate dialysis providers with Proposition 29. Similar initiatives failed in 2018 and 2020. This year's version requires a physician, a nurse practitioner, or a physician's assistant with 6 months relevant experience to be on site during treatment at outpatient kidney dialysis clinics. Proposition 30 would boost funding for zero-emission vehicle infrastructure, including incentives to buy the cars and charging stations. It would increase taxes on those with personal incomes of over $2 million by 1.75%. Last, but certainly not least contentious, Proposition 31 aims to halt a state law from going into effect that bans the retail sale of some flavored tobacco products across California. The legislature approved the ban in 2020. In Sacramento, Ashley Zabala, KRON4 News.
The proposal to boost California's minimum wage will not go on the ballot this fall. The Secretary of State says the initiative failed to get enough signatures by the deadline in order to qualify for the November ballot. The California Living Wage Act would have increased the minimum wage to $16 next year and $18 by 2025. The measure can still qualify for the ballot in 2024, and that would create a faster time frame for the $18 wage increase to go into effect by 2025. California's minimum wage is currently $15 for most employees in the state. The Oakland A's stadium project at Howard Terminal could be headed to voters for approval. The Oakland City Council is meeting right now on whether to put the A's Howard Terminal ballpark project on the November ballot. The waterfront ballpark itself would be privately funded, but preparing the site, including money for infrastructure, for housing and retail, would require $1 billion in public taxpayer money. Councilmember Noel Gallo argues that such a move should be left for the voters to decide. Today, members of the public who are for and against the project had a chance to make their voices heard.
This proposal to put the Howard Terminal project to an initiative is a ploy. We know it's a ploy and a fabrication of public outrage by opponents to delay the project. Please don't honor this tactic.
Oaklanders deserve more jobs, more housing, and more access to a clean and beautiful waterfront. This is bigger than baseball. Please vote no.
Howard Terminal is a golden opportunity for Oakland.
The proposal needs a majority vote from the City Council to pass, and it is still not clear just how many council members will vote yes. Team officials have previously told KRON4 that putting the ballpark on the November ballot would likely kill the project altogether. As we said, we are monitoring the council meeting tonight. A final decision is expected sometime this evening.
All right, let's go outside and see how things are shaping up as we take a look at our 4-zone forecast. And you're looking at the Exploratorium area along the Embarcadero in the city.
Yes, the picture I could not identify earlier for some reason. All right, our chief meteorologist, Lawrence Carno, is here. Lawrence is tracking our weather, but also the stormy weather across the country.
Yeah, a rare, very damaging type of storm system called a derecho, and it's making its way across the U.S. right now. It's a widespread system with so much wind in there across hundreds of miles. And those winds on average 58 miles an hour plus. Those gusts along this path. Look at that as it makes its way across the country's midsection, rolling on through, damage all along that way. Here's a look at some of the what we call storm tracks. These are all the reports of all the damage from wind on the backside of this system all the way through. And you can see just too numerous to count now. They're going to be cleaning up for this one some time to come, as that is certainly toppling all kinds of trees. Some of the reports of some of the winds in that system, 90 to over 100 miles per hour. All right, let's check out Bonnie right now. Bonnie continues to spin around in the eastern Pacific off the coastline of Mexico right now near Acapulco, Manzanillo, Mazatlan just to the north. We've got some very intense winds. It has weakened just slightly now. It was a Category 3 early on, now a Category 2, sustained winds of 110 miles per hour. The latest track now is going to start to make its way out in the middle of the Pacific. It looks like it's going to begin to push in to some cooler waters. That should allow the storm system to weaken further, and by about Friday or so, probably a Category 1, and after that, it looks like it's going to all fall apart, not affecting the mainland. This is what's going to affect us tomorrow. All the clouds out there is now bumping up against the East Bay Hills. You're going to see a lot of that tomorrow morning when you wake up. Cloud cover extending all the way into the Central Valley. Look how it just pours into the Central Valley, and the models are picking up on some of that precip along the coast too. Expect some drizzle out toward the beaches, some patchy drizzle even inside the bay, revealing some sunshine by the afternoon tomorrow. Temperatures, of course, are going to be cooler out at the coast.
Thank you, Lawrence. Still ahead on KRON4 News at 8. The Electra fire triples in size overnight in the Sierra Nevada foothills, the areas that are under evacuation orders coming up.
And the price of gasoline trending down a bit. What it will cost you here in the Bay Area, that's coming up.
Some 4th of July travelers are just now returning home after a tumultuous weekend at airports across the country. Airlines canceled more than 2,200 U.S. flights this holiday weekend. More than 25,000 were delayed. More than 9 million passengers passed through the nation's airports between Thursday and Sunday. The TSA reported a peak of 2.5 million on Friday, which is a pandemic-era record. Experts say travel demand recovered faster than airlines expected. The Bay Area is not exempt from the issues at the airport. We're taking a live look at SFO, which has been having the most delays and cancellations, and today is no different. 157 delays, 8 flights canceled at SFO. San Jose has the next most cancellation, just 2 there, and 59 delays. Oakland, no cancellations so far tonight, but 56 flights in Oakland were delayed.
Well, here's some good news. Crude oil prices are below $100 a barrel for the first time in nearly 2 months. Wholesale gas futures have also dropped by about 36 cents a gallon. The sell-offs are believed to be tied to growing concern about a recession that would cut demand for oil. As a result, gasoline prices are also starting to go down, with prices dropping for the past 20 straight days. Here's a look at how much drivers are paying around the Bay Area. Gasoline in Santa Rosa is a few cents higher than the state average at $6.29. In San Francisco, you'll pay $6.33. The average price drops a little in Oakland at $6.29, and gas in San Jose is averaging $6.24.
Coming up next tonight on KRON4 News at 8, the Electra fire in Amador County in the Sierra Nevada foothills explodes in size overnight, forcing evacuations. We'll have the latest efforts on that firefight. Plus, members of former President Trump's inner circle facing subpoenas, who's under investigation for possible election interference. And monkeypox discovered after a big event in San Francisco, what the organizers are urging attendees to do now to protect themselves.
I mean, there was all around going off, so it wasn't necessarily my neighbors or anything, but we heard them all around.
In the East Bay, firefighters believe that illegal fireworks led to the burning and destruction of a home in Pittsburgh.
Last night, fire crews responded to that fire on Lynbrook Drive, not far from Stoneman Elementary School. When they got there, they found the house completely engulfed in flames. Nobody was injured, but a family did lose their home.
Contra Costa County Fire says this is one of 79 fires they responded to over the holiday weekend. That's actually down from last 4th of July.
Because the humidity was so high, we didn't have a lot of rapid spread. So still had a decent number of fires, but they were relatively small in size, and a single unit was able to extinguish most of them.
And tonight we are monitoring the Electra fire in Amador County. That fire tripled in size overnight, growing to more than 3,000 acres. CAL FIRE says there is no containment. One first responder has been injured, and hundreds of structures are threatened by the flames, forcing hundreds of people to leave their homes. The Electra fire is burning near the Amador and Calaveras County line. It is in an area off Electra Road and Highway 49, southeast of Jackson. For now, evacuation orders are in place for people living around Lake Amador. Jeannie Nguyen is in Amador County with a look at how the crews are doing tonight.
Good evening. Yeah, this lake here in Amador County is Lake Taboo, and it's been very popular for air crews all day as they've been coming here to pick up water to fight off the flames. And actually, just a few hours ago, we saw some smoke headed our way, but it looks like over the past few hours, they've been doing a pretty good job at keeping that from coming here. And that's the goal today as more and more people have been evacuated. As the Electra fire continues to burn in Amador County, CAL FIRE crews are hard at work on Ponderosa Way, a neighborhood that had just been evacuated.
We're defending and prepping for structure defense up here for the fire that's west of us in this direction in case it does come up this area to give us a better defensible space.
Right now, the electrifier is about a half a mile from here, and right now, CAL FIRE crews are working to protect this area to make sure that the fire doesn't get here. And the main reason is because, as you can see, there are homes here that they're trying to protect.
Going around removing brush, grass, the ladder fuels that could help the fire intensity growth and kind of give us a better chance to be able to fight fire aggressively.
Another tactic. Air crews picking up water from Lake Taboo. It's all part in hopefully putting this fire out as soon as possible.
Hopefully weather does help in our favor to be able to do it, because it's going to be a long summer, and hopefully we can get out and get home and get back to our families.
This again seems to be like a very popular spot for air crews to come and pick up water to drop over the ridge. Live in Amador County, Jeannie Nguyen, KRON4 News.
Firefighters in the hospital after he fell while battling a quick-moving vegetation fire earlier today in Fairfield. That Nelson fire burned a total of 22 acres off Cordelia Road, and residents were forced to evacuate. Those evacuation orders have since been lifted as crews gained the upper hand there. The 4-alarm blaze burned through dry and dead vegetation and up a hillside. Cordelia Fire Protection District Chief Dave Carpenter says strong winds were a factor in that firefight.
It gets very gusty up here, so we had the fire change direction several times. Went primarily to the east, then to the north, then back to the east again.
No homes were damaged in the blaze, and crews are still on the scene tonight looking for hot spots. They expect to have the fire 100% contained by tomorrow morning. Now to our 4-zone forecast as we take a live look at that big, heavy fog deck hanging over the Golden Gate Bridge.
Fog deck.
Yeah. Sounds like a movie.
It does.
Yeah, it should be, right? I mean, boy, it's got a storyline, that's for sure. And it's really helped out to suppress the fire danger over the 4th of July. The last few days, that surge of onshore flow, all that fog, boy, that was some good news for us. And here it comes again. Of course, the hills are brown. Anything's going to burn, but it just may not burn as rapidly when things are this moist in the atmosphere. Temperatures, we've got some mild numbers along the coastline. The wind's still whipping, though, in spots. You've got 25-mile-an-hour wind still into Fairfield, 17, and Napa, 21 into Byron. So that nice onshore breeze brings you nice clean air, too. Air quality expected to be great all around the Bay Area tomorrow once again. And we're going to see more clouds. If you like the fog, boy, we've got a show for you over the next few days. Lots of clouds overnight tonight, all the way into the Central Valley. Slow to burn off again tomorrow and then surging back onshore again tomorrow night. And then look at this swirl coming in late on Thursday into Friday. That's another area of low pressure. That's going to ramp up the marine layer. And guess what? That means more low clouds and more fog coming our way. Temperatures are going to be cooler at the coast. Plan on 50s into the sunset. You're looking at about 60 degrees in Daly City. Drizzle, I think, overnight again tonight into tomorrow morning. Plan on about 67 degrees in Burlingame, 68 in Foster City, 74 and nice in Mountain View. A lot of 70s in the South Bay tomorrow afternoon. Those temperatures running a little bit below the average for this time of year. Same with the East Bay. It'll be comfortable, 70s, some low 80s tomorrow. And enjoy this temperature trend as we're going to see much warmer weather, I think, as we get toward the latter part of the week. And next week has a chance to be pretty hot. I think places away from the coastline, you could see some triple digits as we get in toward the next week. But in the meantime, temperatures just slowly warming up over the next few days.
Thank you, Lawrence. A special grand jury investigating potential criminal interference into Georgia's 2020 election subpoenaed key members of former President Trump's inner circle. They include personal attorney Rudy Giuliani and South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. The Fulton County grand jury has heard testimony from a number of witnesses, including some who had direct contact with the former president. But the subpoenas approved by the judge today are the closest investigators have come to Trump.
Now to the latest developments on the war in Ukraine. Thousands of people were forced to evacuate today as massive shelling from Russian forces hit the area. Much of the military activity is focused in the eastern part of the country. At least one person was killed, 7 were hurt in the attack. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says air alerts were issued to nearly all parts of the country. The cities that were targeted today hold critical infrastructure, including a water filtration plant. Meantime, Sweden and Finland are now one step closer to joining NATO. The military alliance officially launched the ratification process today. The press conference took place at the NATO headquarters in Brussels. Canada was the first country to formally ratify the two countries into the alliance. They must now be ratified by the remaining 29 member states for those two countries to join NATO.
Still ahead on KRON4 News at 8, inflation causing many Americans to tap into their savings, where the personal savings rate stands now as a potential recession looms.
And monkeypox in San Francisco. Those cases have more than doubled. Coming up, what one infectious disease expert is saying about the increase. For your health tonight, there are now 40 probable and confirmed cases of monkeypox in San Francisco. Health officials made that announcement today, just weeks after tens of thousands of people gathered in the city for the Warriors Parade and Pride events. Organizers for the event Comfort and Joy Afterglow 2022 are now urging people who attended to get tested for monkeypox. Organizers say they received a report of one infection. Afterglow 2022 took place during the San Francisco Pride weekend. Event organizers provided a list of 2 clinics that attendees could go to for monkeypox testing. Monkeypox can be transmitted by close skin-to-skin contact. And earlier today, KRON4's Noel Bello talked with infectious disease expert Dr. Peter Chin Hong about the spread of the virus and what he expects to see in the coming weeks.
The general threat to the public continues to remain low for now. It's still primarily amongst men who have sex with men, and we expect to see a lot more cases in the upcoming weeks. That is because the incubation period of monkeypox is relatively long, 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. And what that does is that people who don't know that they're infected are continuing to spread it because you feel completely fine.
Vaccines for monkeypox are available in San Francisco. You can head to our website, KRON4.com, for more information on that.
Mosquitoes with West Nile virus are showing up in Sunnyvale. This map shows the area where the infected insects are located, centered between Ajax Drive and Joshua Way. There will be a targeted mosquito treatment in that area Monday night, starting at 10 o'clock. West Nile virus is the leading cause of mosquito-borne disease in the United States. To help reduce mosquito numbers near your home, experts say get rid of any standing water because it can serve as a breeding ground. Coming up in sports, the Sharks have a brand new general manager, and this hire also is making NHL history. Kylan Mills will explain, and we'll hear from the new GM coming up. Financial experts always tell us to save enough money to cover expenses for 3 to 9 months. But the reality is that about 2/3 of Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck.
And with fears of a recession looming, people are starting to dip into whatever they do have stashed away. Reporter Paul Gerke has more on how people are changing habits.
It kind of hurts.
Jennifer LaMonica is one of millions of Americans dipping into their rainy day funds as clouds of a potential recession hang overhead. The Bureau of Economic Analysis defines the personal savings rate as the percentage of disposable income that we can put away after taxes and expenses. The pandemic and 3 rounds of stimulus checks padded pocketbooks at first. The personal savings rate hit a record high of 34% in April of 2020. But this April, it was at its lowest since the 2008 recession, 5.2%.
Once the world reopened, I was so inclined to do things that I had that money saved. And I was like, cool, great. I have this so much money. And now I want to hang out with my friends. I want to go to happy hour. I want to go to brunch. I want to go those places.
From COVID's onset to the end of 2021, U.S. households built up $2.7 trillion in extra savings, according to Moody's Analytics. But since the war in Ukraine began, savings have been in steep decline as inflation drives up the cost of gas, groceries, and almost everything else. Moody's says families have tapped into about $114 billion so far, only about 4% of what we had squirreled away, but enough to make us leery. Last month, 52% of those surveyed in an exclusive News Nation Decision Desk HQ poll said they were worse off financially than they were a year ago. In May, 59% reported it was very difficult or somewhat difficult to make ends meet. In a historically competitive job market, some major employers are combating inflation with mid-year raises and bonuses, including ExxonMobil, T. Rowe Price Group, and Microsoft. Jennifer isn't expecting such a courtesy.
Mid-year raise. That's a cute one. I am not getting a mid-year raise.
And that was Paul Gerke reporting. So let's check our 4-zone weather forecast at this hour, looking at the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza area where there is almost no traffic at all. If you need to get out, this would be the time.
Pretty quiet out there, and some people got a little wet this morning. Kind of a little drizzle out there.
Very damp out along the coastline. Yeah, it was good. Nice to get that out there. We're going to see it again tonight. So if you missed it last night, you get to see it again as we've got the low cloud surging onshore, deep marine layer setting itself up, and that's coming right off the ocean, carrying a lot of moisture with it, going to push well onshore. You've got these little weak systems that are continuing rolling along the coastline. Another one going to push in overnight tonight and tomorrow. That'll bring with it more fog and low clouds. Plenty of it surging well in the interior valley. Look at that push all the way in the Central Valley. That is a significant onshore flow, and you can see the model starting to pick up on some of the green spots. Patchy drizzle, especially along the coastline, going to be wet, and then it pulls back toward the coastline in the afternoon, only to start to surge onshore again by tomorrow night. So we've got a lot of cloud cover on the way. So yeah, we're going to be dealing with some precipitation. Most of that toward the beaches, at least the measurable stuff. These models want to paint as much as 300ths into Half Moon Bay overnight, just 1/100 of an inch of precipitation in that drizzle as you make your way into San Francisco, maybe 200ths into Oakland. That'd be something else. In the meantime, though, we are talking about temperatures staying cooler than normal. Coast side, 50s and 60s at the beaches, still some low 80s, well inland and warm. I think we can expect much warmer weather, probably some hot temperatures in the valley starting on Sunday.
And now, KRON4 Sports from the AT&T Fiber Sports Desk.
The San Jose Sharks made history today when they announced Mike Breer as their next general manager. Greer is the first Black GM in the NHL's 105-year history. Greer most recently was the hockey operations advisor for the New York Rangers. He previously served as an assistant coach of the New Jersey Devils from 2018 to 2020 and was a scout for the Chicago Blackhawks from 2014 to 2018. Greer spent 14 seasons playing in the NHL before retiring in 2011. Sharks president Jonathan Becker said Greer's leadership and desire to win are two qualities that made him stand out. The organization is looking to turn things around after 3 disastrous seasons, finishing 22nd, 26th, and 29th in the league. Greer says he's ready to do just that while also appreciating this historic moment.
It's something I'm extremely proud of. You know, my job is to do the best I can for the San Jose Sharks organization, and if I do that, hopefully it opens the door to give other opportunities to other minorities to get in front office positions and maybe lead a team down the road as well. I don't have a timetable on the coach, but it's definitely something starting, probably starting today. We have the list together, but we'll start reaching out and trying to make contact with the people we'd like to speak with.
Warriors big James Wiseman at Chase Center watching the final game of the California Classic. Warriors versus Heat. Check out this. Luis Santos passes between the legs of Miami defender. In soccer, that's called a nutmeg. Quindary Weatherspoon finishes for 2 of his 14 points. Moses Moody catches the Heat defense napping with his backdoor cut in the dunk. He had 13 points. However, the Heat pulled away. USF product Jamari Bouye getting in on the action gets a layup here. He had 13 points. Heat win it 94-70. The Warriors go 0-3 at the California Classic. Summer League begins this Friday in Las Vegas. Wiseman is expected to play at some point in Sin City. It seems like anything Steph Curry touches turns to gold, even the jerseys on his back. The jersey the babyface assassin wore during Game 1 of the NBA Finals recently sold for more than $203,000. 101 bids were made as people battled for the garment on NBA auctions. However, that's not even close to the most expensive jersey. A Kobe Bryant jersey from his rookie season sold for nearly $3.7 million. Onto the tennis court, Novak Djokovic trying to advance the semifinals at Wimbledon. He actually dropped the first 2 sets to Jannik Sinner, and then frustration. It was apparent for the Joker as he shoulder checks the umpire's camera. But the number 1 seed came storming back, winning the next 2 sets. Then in the 5th, he nails the great backhanded winner, falling to the ground. Spectacular stuff, match point. Sinner hits the net. Djokovic wins the final set 6-2 to advance to the semis. Rafael Nadal hopes to join him. Nadal plays on Wednesday morning. That's all we got for sports. KRON4 News will be right back.
Well, the glory days of streaming television may be over. According to a Bloomberg report, studios and major streaming services are cutting way back on new programming. The financial website says that TV budgets for broadcast have dropped more than 30%, and several streaming services have canceled shows that had been greenlighted, but which have not yet been made, and that includes an HBO Max series from Hollywood heavyweight J.J. Abrams, who directed 2 Star Wars movies. Bloomberg says the recent stock plunge by Netflix and rising inflation have caused studios to rethink how they're spending their money.
Turns out there may be the perfect job after all. The company Time to Play is looking for a Las Vegas buffet taste tester. They're going to pay that person to fly to Vegas and to try out 4 casino all-you-can-eat buffets. Time to Play will pay the person $500 for their work. They also get a $1,000 stipend to spend however they want while they're in Las Vegas. And that person who snags the job will then have to review the buffets for the company's website. Time to Play will also throw in a pair of sweatpants because after you eat everything, you're probably not going to fit your jeans anymore.
Okay, where do Italians go when they want a slice of pizza in California? To San Francisco, of course. A website run by Italian pizza experts says that is where you can find the best spot in the state.
Those experts ranked several local pizzerias on its California list, and at the top of that list, Tony's Pizza Napolitana. It's in North Beach. It's owned by world pizza champ Tony Gimignani. Nationally, 50 Top Pizza has the restaurant ranked second behind Una Pizza Napolitana. That's in New York City.
Okay, you're so good. I'm going to get Vicky's help here. Other Bay Area pizzerias that made the California list, Vicky?
Doppio Zero, A16, Del Popolo.
Flour and Water. That one.
Pizzeria, yeah.
And they're all here in San Francisco. A lot of good pizza to go around.
Yep, we're lucky. We live in a great place to eat all kinds of food.
That's right. Vicky and Grant are here to talk some more about news and
Gimignani, though.
And if you can't
He's a
find
pizza swirler, he's a champ, world champ.
Yep.
Can't find pizza here, you get on the plane to Vegas.
Hey.
Go to the buffet.
That guy. All right, thanks, Pammy.
All right, thanks, guys.
Next at 9, we are talking about chaos and widespread violence over the holiday weekend in San Francisco and in Oakland. What we're learning tonight about a young child who was shot and nearly died.
Plus a vigil tonight in suburban Chicago after the mass shooting at a parade on the 4th of July. The gut-wrenching message from authorities today about a little toddler who went to the parade with his parents. The news at 9 is next.